It's me, ciao. It's me, speaking. Hello, everybody. Hey, lovers. This is your breaking news, your breaking astrology news, right? So we will be looking at the global events, and we will be looking at the good times or the best dates to tender to your relationship, right? So it's going to be a short update or a short breakdown of what is to be expected in June and what you need to do. So buckle up to get your astrology news breaking live now. So if you want to get engaged or to make a very important proposal to your person, to be engaged for marriage or to propose a relationship that you want to last or you're hoping it's going to last, the best dates to do this is the 29th, the 30th of June. So these 2 days, you must not miss them, because whichever type of a proposal that you make now in terms of commitment, it is going to likely last for a very long time. So for these 2 days, do watch out, because Saturn and Venus will be speaking in a very karmic way on these 2 days of June. So definitely hold on to your ring, or do buy the ring now, or prepare your speech that you're going to use to introduce this proposal to your partner, to your lover. Now, obviously, it could also be about if you want to say something very important to a family member or to somebody that is intimate to you. These are the 2 days that you need to make sure you utilize them to the best of your ability. Now, you will have to use a bit of romance to do this, and obviously if it's a family member, then you would have to just use smooth talking, smooth words, be creative about it. But these 2 days are the luckiest of the luckiest days to assure you or to ensure you that there will be a lasting effect in your proposal or engagement, right? Now, when it comes to the governments and what they will be talking to us about, I am expecting that within the first week of June, we will be getting a lot of updates in terms of policies and the changes to the policies. So many countries and their presidents, will be talking to their people, telling them about the changes that have been made in the policies, and particularly to those that will impact their spending power, that will impact their family life, and that will impact their resources. So watch out for those policy updates in the first week of June. So from the 1st to the 6th of June, right? I am recording outside because I'm enjoying the sun, and the alarm that is in the background, it's from the manufacturer that is close by my house, because I do stay in an industrial area where there are lots of manufacturing companies. Well, due to my own fourth house, right? Well, anybody who's in the astrology field will know why I am surrounded by a lot of manufacturing companies and organizations and trucks, and you will know why, based on my fourth house, right? So that is your homework or your test to see how much you know the astrology. But let's get back into the news. So then for the 2 weeks thereafter, after the first week, right, we will be getting a whole lot of good news, in terms of, our government and, their promises. There will be promises that are going to be made. Like, people are going to find, like, oh my gosh, okay, that is a good policy, or a good introduction of something, benefit, for the people, so there will be like these hopeful communication that is made by the government and our leaders, pertaining to our lifestyles, or changes and all of these things. So a very hopeful 2 weeks, from the 6th until the 23rd at this time. And also there will be a whole lot of this a feeling that things will change, but they will also impact the foreign community, like, so whatever the governments are making, they will also kind of like take into account what is happening to their foreign relations, right? So for example, that just an example that I can think of, maybe the US government makes an announcement of some cordial relationship now with China, regarding China, or something relating to foreign policy is going to make people feel hopeful, feel happy, feel like there's an improvement towards the betterment of the society, basically, right? So we could say it's a healing 2 weeks, whereby people are feeling like, okay, things are healing, there's hope, there's ambition that we're working towards, trying to mend what was before, or trying to make it better, but at the same time there could be continuing, like, ongoing power struggles in the background, right? And to the extent that some people or some countries could feel like, well, if you want to continue a good relationship, then cut spending here, or give more money here, like trying to promote overspending, trying to promote giving more money, something regarding to materials, like people are becoming obsessed with gaining materials, from the hope that is being brought in at this time. And then suddenly, the last week of June, and there's like a sudden change in the tonality of, the powers, and the leaders. There's an urgent message that must be dealt with, a lot of force, a lot of stunts being taken in order to enforce power, enforce power over people. And of course, these are always impacting the professions of people, the workplace of people. So, there could also be some changes regarding that, the workforce, like something about the workforce in the last week of June, which could be highlighted very urgently. And I also do see that in that last week of June, there would be, in terms of relationships now, like globally, not necessarily, our government, but the communication that people will be having at this time would be about emotions. Like, there's a lot of emotional expressions, whereby people are trying to channel their commitment, but in words that are emotional, right? So on a global level, people do it, via protests and all of these things, but then in terms of relationship, these could be like, crying, or writing emotional messages, texting, trying to get through to your partner at this time in terms of relationships. So that is the communication we're expecting around June. right? So now let's move on and try to see what will be breaking in terms of the Mars and Ketu conjunction that everyone is talking about, right? So as you may have seen, on YouTube, a lot of astrologers, they have been talking about the conjunction of Mars and Ketu in Leo this June. And I would like you guys to know that for the month of June, this Mars and Ketu conjunction is not to be, do not be afraid about it, because what will be happening in June in terms of Mars and Ketu, there will actually be a lot of remembrance of the past, like people remembering what happened in the past, or how policies were, or how, in terms of relationships, couples discussing what happened in their love, in their past, how they met, how the person was, trying to remember or to make each other remember of what was, and trying to transform the relationship, or in terms of the global perspective, trying to change the policies, as I said, aligning them to what was formerly known. Because remember, Ketu is about the past. And when it comes to Leo specifically in June, it is definitely going to dig deep in the past and what used to be. So this is not necessarily the fighting time, so as other people thought, there would be like a lot of boom 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 boom, left, right and center. It will be there when it comes to Pluto, because of the Pluto, right? But in terms of the conjunctions, just them together, they don't just do that. They bring those policies or those conversations or those family ties or those relationship ties from the past, and then say, okay, we've been here, we need to exchange authority, we need to exchange power, we need to transform. Because remember, both Ketu and Mars have that a force to transform, because they both co-rule the 8th house of transformations, right? So now, when there is a deliberate resistance to change, resistance to transformation, resistance to power sharing, this is when you can see that explosion, right? Now, these explosions that can be expected in terms of resistance, and if there's a resistance, there will be definitely to protect heritage, to protect your ancestors. In my mind, I'm just thinking of now the India and the Pakistan thing, whereby you can find that each of the countries is trying to protect their land, their heritage, their ancestors, their cultural beliefs are tied to the ancestors. So this is all about this, when it comes to these anticipated explosions that everybody's talking about. But that is not the goal. The first goal of Ketu and Mars, it is to go towards success, go towards fulfilling the ambitions that will maintain and retain the culture, the ancestral way of doing things, the royal guard, right? But then failure to do that, or then resistance from any party. Now we would have to look at the synastry to see who's going to resist. And in terms of Pakistan and India, do check out my synastry analysis, where I made lots of predictions which came true already. So do check that out, right? And in terms of Africa and the US, I made another prediction. So all of these things in June regarding to Ketu and Mars, we will push towards breaking down of the facade, basically. So Ketu here will be breaking down the facade, and the Mars energy will be breaking it by force, because what needs to be left here is the purity of this sign, because Leo is the sign of purity, whereby Sun, sits, and Sun is the purifier, the ultimate purifier, where the soul really gets the purpose. So these two planets will be meeting to purify this house and anything relating to this house, right, including the governments, whereby some leaders could have a downfall. In June, a lot of government bodies could have a downfall if they resist. That's the thing, if they resist to give the power over to whoever they have to give it to, or to share the authority, or to respect that authority that they have, right? And anybody who has a difficulty into accepting criticism at this time will be feeling this part of Mars and Ketu. So this will be happening for 3 weeks, so from the 7th until the 30th. These are the times when you will start to hear all these stories happening, right? So now, because there will also be Chiron and Venus impacted by this Mars and Ketu in terms of relationships, let's look what is going to happen. Looking at what will be taking place in terms of relationships regarding the conjunction of Mars and Ketu. Now, Venus will not be alone in Aries. It will be in Aries with Chiron. But because at the stage of Chiron, Venus will not be impacted in terms of hurting or trying to hurt relationships. In fact, there will be a lot of ups and downs in relationships, but towards healing the relationships, towards starting new in relationships. And then for a lot of people, they will be starting new relationships at this time. So there will be a lot of quick decisions taken in terms of love, in terms of relationships, regarding business relationships as well. You could find a lot of companies and a lot of governments. They are taking quick decisions, trying to have a relationship that is working towards fulfilling ambitions and a successful outcome. Now, with regarding to Mars and Ketu, there is a lot of loyalty that is expected at this time in June. So in relationships, many people are expecting loyalty. Many people are expecting to be treated as royals, but because Venus will be in Aries, so there is a lot of individuality that is going to come out, whereby each person is trying to think about themselves. But remember, the goal of Mars and Ketu here, it is to share the power, to share the authority, and to use it in a good way, right? And failure to do that, then you see the wrath of both the Leo energy and the Mars energy. Now, what also is to be expected is obviously aggression, because this is a Aries sign, and it is with Chiron. So if there's some aggression, there's a lot of wounding that is expected because of Chiron as well. But as I said, the goal is to start anew. The goal is to share authority within the relationship, transform towards achieving ambitions, because this is the time to achieve ambition, to have success. This is not the time to plan now. And that you should have done that in March. Now is the time to put everything into action, because Venus is an action sign of Aries, right? So another thing that could be expected is a lot of restlessness, right? Because obviously when you're making quick decisions, doing things abruptly, you could be restless as well. And there could be a lot of financial recklessness, because remember, just before I spoke about overspending, people chasing material things, like achieving material, because that is what June is all about, right? So the best way is obviously to use it to your best ability, because now I've given you the opportunities of what is to be achieved, and I've given you the warnings of what you just need to be aware about, right? Now, so to summarize, a lot of people in relationships will be happy when they see commitment, will be happy when they see that their partners are making an effort, right? But then the effort should not just come alone, like in a structured way. There should be a lot of romance, a lot of creativity that accompanies it, right? And I do see that, of course, you need to work, so that for the last 2 days, then you can get your ring, and then you will see a lot of congratulations in the last 2 days. This couple is engaged, this couple is married, all of these things. This couple is in a relationship, they just announced their relationship. So for Mars and Ketu, you need to revive your commitment. If the relationship was falling apart, revive it. This is a good time to do that. It is time to put all your plans into actions, the plans that you did in March, and get a scope, get everything working out fine. So last 2 days, do your thing. For now, I'm gonna say thank you. I'll chat to you soon. Bientôt. Ciao.